Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Curmudge. Today we're going to be talking about batteries. Some time ago, Vatrer, that is Vatrer, contacted me and wanted to know if I want to try a battery. I told him sure, but I need to be able to do a 24 volt system. All of our systems here are 24 volt, and this is a grow watt inverter charge controller. This inverter charge controller will do the AC conversion from DC to AC. It'll charge AC to DC from a generator or from the grid. It'll also charge up to 2,000 watts and 120 volts worth of power DC into the batteries. I also wanted to be able to have a battery I could take with me if we went on a trip in the truck to use the diesel heater I have. I've got a Vatrer. And now I also have a H-calorie. And we'll get into that a little later on a different video. So at the time I wanted 12 volt because when I talked to them, I only had the Vatrer, and that is only a 12 volt system. So I said I want two 12 volters that I could put into a 24 volt system. And they said we can accommodate, but you have to buy one battery and we'll ship you a battery. And I said fine, I would. So I'm not going to bore you with a unboxing. We all know what it is like to open a box. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into this video of installing them. You'll see a little bit of the charging aspect of it, and then you'll see me start using the batteries from there. Whether the batteries are going to stay here long term, I'm not sure. That depends on the testing. They may go out to the man cave where I keep that warm year round. But this cabin doesn't stay warm year round, and the batteries need to be kept above a certain temperature to keep them healthy. So there's a possibility if the cabin's not being used, they'll go out to the man cave because that'll be heated year round. These are 12 volt batteries and the 300 amp hours a piece. Now because I'm putting them into a 24 volt system, it's going to stay at the 300 amp hour mark. This cabin doesn't use a lot of power, so we're not overly worried about that. Whereas the main house, we've got 400 amp hours and we're going to be adding on to that. But first we'll add more solar. All right, let's get this video rolling. All right, so this is the second of the Vatrer batteries. I'm going to pull this out and get it set up to charge. The other one is finally charged. Give me a second and I'll get this on the ground and I'll show you what we're doing. Alright, so we're going to pop out these little protective caps. Screw in our leads. Terminal post, what we call. The last one took about 18 hours to charge because I do not have the proper amperage to charge them quickly. So this one's probably going to take about the same. So let's check to see what it is on the voltage right now and the amperage. Alright, so we're going to put our battery terminal on here. Negative on negative, positive on positive. And we'll plug her in. Generator outside to charge this. Battery goes into lithium mode, and here in a second it'll start going. This is the Stanley Fat Max, and supposedly do 25 amps. I have not seen it do anywhere near 25 amps, so I don't know what's going on. That's the highest I've ever seen it go, is 13 and 14 amps. Anyways, I'm going to go check my bread in the oven. We'll keep checking on this battery, see how long it takes to get charged up. Back in a bit. Alright, we're here inside the cabin and we're going to start disassembling this battery bank system and putting in our Vatrer lithium batteries, and those batteries are 300 amp hours a piece. So it's going to get dark, so I've got to shut all this down. Hopefully you can still see I've got that running off the battery. Battery's cut up, power's gone off there. Okay. These are 6 volt batteries and 24 volt system. This is not the ideal bus bar. So, you know, I just lost a flip and screw. The hard part is getting all these out. It's not fun. I'm just going to set them on the floor here for a short time, and then I'll take them out of the building. I normally have a strap picking batteries up. I have no clue what the hell it's at right now. And if you know anything about batteries, these 6 volts are not light. Once the first one's out, it becomes a little easier. These batteries have been cared for and loved, and they still made a freaking mess. I don't understand it. Well, they still didn't last, I should say. Kind of swollen, so that battery is pretty much done. But I'll use them until they're pretty much done. No sense of letting them go to waste. I think that's just a stain. Alright, let's get the first Vatrer in there. These weigh about 60-65 pounds a piece. The second one. All right. So because I do run this in a 24 volt system, I've got to make sure that I hook this up properly. So this is going to be my ground over here. And it is already hooked up onto the bus bar over there. Oh, that one. Okay. And for this, we've got to go from positive to negative to make this a 24 volt system. I'm going to put them in this way so it's not in the way of anything else. Alright. The one thing I don't like is how I've got this hooked up here. We're going to change this, I think. Push these forward just a pinch. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my different positive lead. Okay. Negative is all hooked in. Make sure it's cinched down. Okay. And I've got to get a different bus bar system for this. Don't like the way this one is. Sorry, yep, I got my fat head in your way. Alright. Alright, so the Vatrer batteries are connected. Now we're gonna try to close this whole system back up. I gotta move the camera a second. Alright, so we actually took off most of the stuff for the solar because that's not gonna go through that charge controller anymore. It's going to go through a different charge controller. All right, let's see. We're saying we are at 26.7 volts with a half an amp coming out. And now 0 amp. Half amp, or 6. There we go. Alright, I'm going to close this lid. Let me get you guys straightened back out here. Because then we've got to program the inverter a little bit. This is a 3000 watt grow watt inverter. 24 volt system. I just got to go through and change some stuff. Okay, looks like we're good. What I'll have to do is I'm going to have to put on the generator and do a test to see what it's going to charge at. Because I've got to get in there and change all the parameters for the charging. Because this inverter has never been used on lithium. So that's what I've got to change the settings on. I'll be back. Alright, so it took a little finagling, but I did get the batteries to start charging. I figured out what the problem was. It was a setting that was in my grow watt inverter charger. It is now fixed, so we're not going to worry about it now. Now we need to let them charge a little bit. They're at 97% because I've had lights on and stuff like that. And I was actually doing a live with a friend here a few minutes ago, painting out some pay dirt I got from him. So we're going to let this charge a little bit, and then we're going to start testing these batteries and see how well they do. Hey guys, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Now it's time to talk about the batteries. Yes, Vatrer did send me one of these batteries, and I paid for the second one. The reason is we have a 24 volt system here. I wanted two 12 volt batteries. The reason behind that was I had a diesel heater that ran off 12 volt. I've since purchased one that runs off 24, so I can use either or. But at the time, I only had the 12 volt one. So I wanted two 12 volt batteries so I could take one with me to go into town to go stealth camping in a truck with Sarah or by myself. The batteries from Vatrer have been amazing. I have not had a problem with them. They've been installed for about 3 months. Adam and Phyllis from Alaska Cut the Cord, link above, have been using these batteries pretty much since they were put in, because they come up here to work on their property and they use this cabin. They're using the lights, they're using the water pumps, they're using the ceiling fans, they're charging drills, phones, cameras, things like that, and there's been no issue. The batteries don't even really mind the cold. There's been a few days where the temperatures in this cabin dropped below 0, and as long as they didn't have a draw on the batteries, they were fine. As I said before, these are 12 volt, 300 amp hour with a self-heating lithium blanket inside. that will heat the batteries to keep them from damaging themselves. And it doesn't use a whole lot of power, but it does use some. I think it's like a 90-watt heater that will heat up to keep them warm. They have a self-discharge at around 3%. These batteries have a 5,000 cycle lifespan. That equates to over 10 years. And if you take care of them properly by not taking them down to the DOD or depth of discharge on a regular basis, they'll last longer than that. They have a smart built-in 200 amp hour BMS with low temperature charging protection. The battery sizes are pretty much the same as an 8D battery in the marine or RV world. 20.47 inches long by 10.5 inches wide and 8.6 high. So they're beefy batteries, but they're light. They're like 65 pounds. Now those lead acids I pulled out of here, those are like 80 pounds a piece. They are pretty much maintenance free when it comes to what you have to do with them. You just got to keep them healthy and happy, keep them charged and use them. They do have a Bluetooth app, which you've seen in the video, which works great for letting you check the battery stats. The batteries can be run in series or parallel. Would I recommend these batteries to people? Yes, I would. I've had no problem with them. And if I had a problem with them, I would have told you guys. The only problem I had with them was due to my inverter and the solar panels. It took me a little bit to figure out what was going on, but it's been fixed, and you'll actually see a video about that coming up soon. The batteries have worked flawlessly. Yes, these are the same manufacturer batteries that you saw with Sean from Sean Alaska's videos. Sean actually helped me get set up so I could get them shipped here due to the regulations of shipping lithium batteries. I had to use Carlisle Direct to get them brought up. And had Sean not told me about them, I wouldn't have these batteries. So thank you again, Sean. Link above. But yes, I would recommend these batteries for anybody starting out being off grid. But for our systems that we have here, which are not huge and not power demanding, they're working fine. They're charging, like right now, it's cloudy outside, even though it looks like it's not through that window. They're charging, not very much because they're full. It'll just put in a little bit that it needs to go in to top off from last night. I did leave it on just to see what it would do. Again, yes, Vatrer did sponsor this video by sending me a free system and giving me a discount on the second one. There is a link down below that will lead you to Vatrer's website as well as a discount code for these batteries if you choose to purchase them. Hopefully you will. Yes, I will get a small percentage of the purchase of them. So with that, I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. We should be doing a live on the 19th of April. I will definitely confirm that, and I'll make a community post about that so you guys know for sure. We'll talk to you later. You have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.